In this walkthrough, I want to cover an issue that you might encounter in ArcGIS Online. I've got Map Viewer open in ArcGIS Online, and I have two layers loaded. One is a buffer that I created around 6 counties in Western Illinois, and the other is a fire stations and EMS stations layer from Living Atlas. I'm going to use the analysis tool to create a spatial query where I'm going to create a layer of the fire stations that are within this buffer layer. I've already created the query expression, and that's not relevant to the video. What happens though is when you want to modify the environment settings using a processing extent that's not full extent. If I click full extent, you'll see that I get different options, and I want to use my buffer layer. So I'll click layer, and then I will click layer, but the buffer layer does not show up in my list of map layers. And I get this message that says one or more layers from the map are not listed here because they are either not shared with you or not publicly accessible. There are several reasons why this might occur, and I won't go into all of those. What is important though is how can I deal with this? There are two ways of doing this. The first is I can click Browse Layers, and then I can go to my buffer area layer, click Select Layer, and then do Buffered Features, and then click Confirm, and then the tool will run. The other way of dealing with this is to create what's called a view layer. In order to do that, I need to go to the overview page of my buffer layer. Let's click my options here, and I will right click in Content and do Open in New Tab so we can see it. And then I will open up the buffer layer to view its overview page. On the right, you'll see this drop down arrow with more tools, and there is Create View Layer here, and I will select View Layer. This will give me a dialog with 3 steps to walk through, and the good news is I don't have to do anything other than just click through these. The layer's already selected. I will click Next. This will be the Define View, which is optional. I'm not going to worry about that. And then create the view layer. You'll see here it says Western Illinois Study Area Buffer 2 miles, and then the word View after that. And then I will say Create. After a few moments, we get a success. The layer was created. Now I will return to my untitled map. I will add, and now you will see in my content the view layer, and I'll click Add. So now my view layer is there. Now when I click Layer, the view layer is now here. So now when I run the tool, I can constrain the output to the buffer layer. Now all that's left for me to do is to estimate the credits and then run the tool.